Hi guys, good morning. Um, it is about 10:15 a.m. in the morning. I'm doing this little video because I figured it would be nice to share with you guys an epiphany that I had. So a lot of people try to understand what the world looked like in its state before God put his magical touch on it. So it's called the primeval. I'm sure there's a way it's pronounced. Made previous videos where I struggled with its pronunciation, but it's called the primeval history. Now, the first chapter, it basically, first chapter of Genesis, it basically explains the first 7 days, and I have broken them down. Let me grab that for you. Okay, so let me see if I can share my screen. I want you to see the workbook I've put together for you all. So this would be window. Bear with me. I appreciate it. There it is. It's that one. There you go. All right. As you can see, you have what the first book of Genesis explains. I will show you the pictures real quick. So this is the modern day version of what has happened, what they believe their understanding is of what the atmosphere that God created and the dome, its reference, which is incorrect. This is the truth. What you don't know is that the dome exists outside of the space that we see. When we look up at the planets, it's outside of that. Okay? Now, these images came from this fellow. I got it from, let's see if I can recall. Oh, I did not put down what it is, but it looks like I referenced Wikipedia for it. But he's Dr. Nils Jansma. He's the one who put together this picture here to explain to us, and he's a doctor in theology. So he was using our current science to provide this exosphere and other things you see. But that's just the atmosphere itself. It's not the actual dome. The dome is the firmament. If you can see in this diagram, you have your stars and your moon and your sun, and then you have the firmament. So we have things that are out there in space, and they are traveling and traveling, and they can't stop traveling. So they're eventually going to meet the firmament. It won't be in our generation. There's no telling whose generation it'll be, because no one knows how many stars God has set in the sky. But when it finally meets the firmament, that's when we will have the confirmation of this diagram. We don't know how many generations will pass before we have that confirmation. In the meantime, we will continue to debate. But I am telling you, this is a truth. Belief is an amazing thing. It helps you to see without confirmation of science. Science is very fallible. It sucks. Because people like to take theories and, hey, we can't get any further, so we're going to make this theory a fact. I've seen a lot of that. Science is stupid because you got stupid people taking care of science. So, you got above the firmament, or the waters above, right? We're not talking about the clouds in the sky that release water. No, we are talking about a completely different water. The best way to explain it is taking a snow globe and putting it underwater. We are living inside that snow globe. God has us inside his sink, inside the basin of water he's got. And his room exists outside of that water. That's the reality of what is we have here. And our physical bodies are being kept inside that globe to protect us. So we have time to heal and grow and love and learn and evolve. Because when we die, we're either going to be worthy of being by his side or not. Because we leave these physical bodies and are capable of existing beyond the dome. Our physical bodies need oxygen, all the things he created inside the dome. It's like you have a car, you live inside the car, but the car can't go into the ocean. It wasn't built to do so. Okay? You reach your destination, you no longer need the car. You are the soul. You walk out of that car and you can swim in the ocean yourself. That is the comparison. Our body is the car, our soul is us walking in out of the car and into the ocean. And so when we die, we can float out of the dome, out of the little ball. Did I call it? Hmm. I'm sorry. I have these moments my brain doesn't function right. Snow globe. So we're able to float outside of our snow globe and into the basin of water in God's sink and float through that water and go right to God. We have no boundaries. Our soul doesn't need boundaries because it's got no physical body to bound it. Why did God make us that? Why didn't He just make us with spiritual eyes to begin with? For the same reason that a seed needs soil to grow. We need the environment to shape us, to shape our souls. Everything we are experiencing is for that purpose. Okay? So now you understand the reason why God made us inside of the dome, and you can understand why there's waters above the dome, and you can understand heaven. Just to realize that the waters that are above the dome are part of the gate to heaven. They prevent us from taking our spaceships, right, and pushing past the firmament. Can you imagine taking a spaceship into the ocean? Our spaceships use rocket gasoline, or however it's called, to push itself through dead space. If that dead space suddenly became dense and became water, the rockets would be useless. And then the rocket would end up floating wherever it ended up. That's why we can make ourselves situations where we can explore space, but our own deep sea remains unexplored. So those waters above prevent us from forcing our way into heaven, prevents us from completing the Tower of Babel. God had everything set up properly. So now that I've explained this diagram here, on to the actual situation. Oh, I apologize for how I am dressed. I literally woke up, had my time with God, began rereading because after I read, I try to see if I can see God in the situation. And as I'm rereading, I'm realizing, wait a minute, the earth had absolutely nothing. It not even grass. It was like the desert. I need to share this information with people. So I did not give two hoots about how I look. I hope you don't either. Because our physical existence is nothing compared to our soul. All right? Now, I have to enlarge this. I have trouble seeing. And this is for the books, for reading text. It's a magnifying glass. It's my other glasses. And these are for seeing for far away, right? I have diabetes, so my ability to see near or far changes from day to day depending on the amount of sugar I put in my system. So I apologize I'm going to have to blow my screen up so that I can read my own text. You might be able to read it, but I can't. All right. So in day one, this is all summaries. All right. God spoke to the light to make it exist, which means, let me pull up my picture here. This picture right here by SciTech Daily, they created this picture. See if I can cancel, blow it up there. Can you see it well enough? No, I have on the wrong screen. One moment, I have to change the screens I'm doing. Entire screen, here we go. That should be it. So, this is the best image I could find that comes close to the reality of primeval, how you say it, the way the world looked before God touched it. As you can see, they painted it with stars in the sky, but there weren't even that at the time. There was nothing. It was complete black. No light, no darkness, just go in your room, right? Turn your light off. Give it about an hour. Your eyes should have adjusted and you should be able to make out things. That's the point of light existing, and the moon gives us that light. In here, you wouldn't even be able to tell the beginning and the end of the earth because there was no light to show the shape. All of the light, it was hidden behind the dark. That is why God had to separate it. So I've explained that part. Let me go back here. So God spoke light to it, right? So we had to bring light into our existence. I just said that light was hidden by the dark, but he spoke it into existence like saying, you come into this room. Okay. Then he had to separate it from light and dark. He had to separate the two of them. Apologies. I have a cat I'm allergic to. My eyes and my nose, they are always itchy. So forgive me for constantly touching my face. So this line is important. I need you to remember this line because when God peels our stars away and he takes our moon away, we're still going to have light because light existed before the stars. It was the very first thing God put together. Okay. So after he separated, he named, the light and the dark, gave them their own names. Then in the second day, he created this dome we call the firmament, right? And it was set between the two bodies of water. So this body and this body. Okay? So it says it set them in the middle of them, but as you can see from the diagram and from future verses that you may have already read, that it wasn't quite in the middle because there was between the firmament and earth to set up the moon and the stars. So if it were truly in the middle, that means not only is there space here between the firmament and the earth, but that would be also possibly mean that there's space between the firmament and the waters above, which there isn't, because the Bible doesn't state it, right? So I believe that the waters below and this empty space, right? So this is the whole thing is really, if you're picking it apart, you have to understand before God made the dome, how were the waters below and the water above separated, right? And how could God have even been able to see the earth? So it's very possible that there was no space here and that this whole thing was just waters. straight through, which means the waters above met the waters below. So the waters from heaven were covering the earth. Think of the days of the flood. The waters of the heavens, we couldn't see them. We weren't there. We don't know what happened. But the waters below did not stay within the boundaries of the earth. They came way, way, way above it. So just imagine that. But there is no stopping. The waters just continue straight through to heaven, right? So I believe the firmament was created to allow the waters below to recede into the earth. And I believe that's how we ended up with that empty space we have between the firmament here and the earth here. So all the space in between is the result of the firmament being created. Okay, so now, first step was imagining there was no separation of the waters. There was no light. It was completely dark, like trying to imagine sitting at the bottom of a swimming pool with the lights out. No lights in the room. An indoor swimming pool, sitting at the bottom of that pool, no lights on in the room, absolutely nothing. And there's no windows, so the moonlight can't even get through. Pitch dark. I would be scared, very scared. So God knew we would need air. He knew we would need light. So he put together the light first, and then he put together the firmament to allow us to, have the beginnings of a place that can give us some breathing room. Otherwise, that picture I just gave you is exactly what the world would be. We would all be existing at the bottom of a pool with no light. We would really be living in fear. Fear of what evil is out there, what creatures out there could eat us because we can't see. And that would be terrible to live with in this world. But that primeval, however it's said, that condition, that state, is what we would have had without the firmament. Okay, so thank you, God, for creating light, for bringing it into existence and calling it to be coexisting with darkness. And thank you for giving us the light and the dark names. And thank you so much for the firmament that we haven't even seen yet. But thank you for it. Thank you for the air that you grant us so that we can exist. Amen. Okay. So that's just the first day. And the second day, where he separated the bodies and made the dome and named the dome the sky. And this is why that doctor, the theological doctor, got confused because of the word God naming the dome sky. We call this atmosphere our sky because we're just humans. We define things our own way. But our way is not the way of God. Our sky goes way beyond our atmosphere. Our sky is all of in what we refer to as the heavens, which would be the stars in the skies that our naked eye can see. But there's more there than what our naked eye can see. Understand? It's way beyond that, so we can't see it. But anything our eyes can see when we look up into the sky, even if we use, oh my gosh, I am fearful for my future if I can't recall this name. Telescope. Oh my gosh. Like I said, I have trouble with my brain sometimes. Even if we use a telescope to see into the sky, you know, um, we would only be able to see the stars and the moon. We would never be able to see the firmament because it is that far away. That's how much space God gave us for our sky. So we have plenty of playground to play in. It's just that we're not expected to go beyond our atmosphere without protection, which again is the reason why that theological doctor, let's give him his proper name, Nils, why Niels believed in this diagram, because the sky was meant for oxygen, and we only have oxygen within our atmosphere. But that's not what the Bible explains. The Bible explains that we have a sky. It doesn't explain that we should be able to breathe in that sky. What it explains is that we should have the sun and the moons in that sky. Okay? So here's where I made a note. When the dome was made, the atmosphere formed in the space between the dome and the waters below the dome, where the sky and the earth meet. There is a Quora reference. The atmosphere in the sky is made up of the outer space, which is this picture here, where the stars, sun, and moon are, and the layers of the atmosphere protect our air and gravity. So the atmosphere would be a lot of other things, but that's just the Quora reference. I put it there in order to explain the picture that's here. So on to our next thing. So this is day 3. So as of this point, this is still full of water. God placed the firmament in between the waters above and the waters below. He didn't make any space yet. So if you look at day 3, it explains that in the waters below the dome, that's where God gathered them into a basin so dry land may appear. So a lot of the water that was here was pulled into the earth, right? And our actual space, our atmosphere, became available. So God called the dry land earth and named the gathered water a sea. Then God brought forth vegetation, every kind of plant that bears seed, and every kind of fruit that bears fruit with its seed in it. So that's a lot he did on the third day, separating the waters and such, and bringing forth vegetation. You understand, on day 3, that's when vegetation appeared. Now, this is where I was reading and I came to this point. Right? Oh, it's wrong place. I have multiple Bibles. So here it is. There were no field shrubs on earth, and no grass of the field had sprouted, for the Lord God sent no rain upon the earth, and there was no man to till the ground. Do you see the correlation? It is saying here in Genesis 2, verse 5. Genesis 2, verse 5. It's confirming there was still no shrub. So Genesis 1 tells you, I'll take you to Genesis 1. Where is it? Did I put that in the wrong place? I must have, because we are talking about the seas on day 4. Did I miss it? Light in the sky and to mark seasons. Wow, I must have done something wrong. Oh no, that's why I jumped too far. I thought it was day 3, but I've definitely mismarked my wording here. So he put everything in a basin so land may appear. And the water of sky was gathered into the basin, and then dry land appeared. He called it earth, and the water sea, and Then he said, let there bring vegetation. So this was the second day. I mismarked it on here. This should be under day 2. I'll fix it later. It's for record purposes. But as you can see, by day 3, what we're working with, we're finally seeing the earth populate with green. Before it was green, it was that picture. Looked like this part here. All right. So where was I? So in day 4, he places the lights in the sky, which is the stars, the moon, and the sun. So you know he's already placed the sun and the moon in there in order to differentiate day from night and mark the seasons. And we have the stars to help the moon light up our night. Okay. Then we have over here, the water and sky are populated. So he fills the earth with the creatures, including the Leviathan, the sea monsters. And he fills with crawling creatures. And then he puts winged creatures in the sky. And that's really it. Anything else that existed that God created, anything else was evil that Satan corrupted or attempted to mix in. Okay. So I met someone who said the Leviathan were the dinosaurs, but they're not. It will, let me see if I can find it here. Pardon me while I have to look through this. I understand it's not good to leave silence in the video. So it was the 6th day. There's a show about the Leviathan. Shoot. Must have been here. Oh, it's in here somewhere. I could have sworn it was within the chat first Genesis, but it might have been elsewhere. But the Leviathan are sea monsters. They couldn't live on land, so they definitely weren't dinosaurs. The Leviathan also is known to refer to anything evil. So it could be anything that was created by Satan. So with that said, you can reach to the point where you can say maybe that person was correct and the dinosaurs were the Leviathan, if those were the things that were created by the devil. But we don't know for sure if they were created from the devil or if they were what we have now for animals before they sized down. And here's where science comes into play. Do you know how tall we were? Our Adam and Eve, our Moses, all the people, the ancestors of the Bible, they were not short like us. They were big. If you ever have a chance, I would recommend trying to find someone inside the archaeology science and ask them for assistance finding evidence, because it's there. If you don't want to go that far, you can just use the internet. But they have footprints that, like, you put 2 hands together. Our tallest basketball player would have been a normal size for them. That's how much our bodies have shrunk over time. If our bodies have shrunk, don't you think the same applies to the animals? So, there's a lot in the history to look at, analyze, admire, and understand. God gave us plenty to keep us busy here. But that's not the point. The point is, God went through 7 days of hard work and labor to speak things into existence and to use his breath to allow to live. Also, that we can exist. It all comes down to us. I know it sounds selfish, doesn't it? And in our society, they don't want us to be selfish unless we're sticking up for ourselves. But the world has a lot wrong. So bear with me, okay? Now, um, so we know that God filled the sea and the air in day 5. In day 6, he filled the earth with creatures like, that are tame. We have our house cats and stuff like that. Those are the animals that God created, along with some wild things and snakes, the boars that like to use their head to knock us over. They got some aggression. um, and then he made us, and everything else was done. He made us. He made our Adam, very first man. And he allowed Adam to have time to name every single thing that was in existence. And just so you know, this thing where it says crawling things that he's made, that does refer to roaches. And I saw some pretty roaches. You would never know they were roaches. They're beautiful. And I've seen some crickets that look like roaches that are just really long antennas. And some strange looking things coming out their rear end. Roaches and the crickets look exactly alike here in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania in the United States. They don't look green at all. They look like a black roach. So everything, including these flies that we have that are annoying and things that can hurt us that come out of the earth, you might think they were made by Satan, but they're not. God made every single thing, and it was existing with a purpose. Flies are meant to decompose dead things. Crows are meant to eat away the meat on the dead things before the flies got to it. It's just, to help clean the earth. These things were created. But things like the mice and the water bugs and the food bugs, they come into our living space because they don't know any better. And if there's a crack, they're going to find a way in. We have a nice, warm, comfy environment that they would thrive in. So you can't be mad at them for existing because God made them exist for a purpose. All right, so with that said, there are 2 species I would love you to be very careful with. They are our spiders. They protect our home from these creatures that like to come in. Okay? If you see a spider and it's living in a place that you'll disturb it, move it. Put it maybe in your basement. They like the basement. Okay? The basement's where most of those bugs come in anyway. So use a jar and a piece of paper and then carry it to your basement and let it go. All right? As long as you don't hurt it, it won't bite you. All right? Now, if your washer and dryer are in the basement and you are constantly cleaning up the cobwebs, expect to get bit because the cobwebs are their home. The cobwebs are there to help kill the bugs. Same thing with your bathroom. You're going to notice there's cobwebs in certain places in your bathroom. Leave them be. I know that cobwebs represent dirt. It means you're not cleaning your home, but you need to spin that thought, okay? Remember, God put certain creatures here to do certain things. And the spiders, they protect us. I was so afraid. I had arachnophobia. Anytime I had anxiety, I would wake up with the fear of a big spider the size of my hand falling towards my face. I would literally wake up in fear, and my eyes were seeing that even though it wasn't there. And I would freak out because I was that scared of spiders. It took me learning about them to lose my fear. All right. So that's the first bug I want you to be very forgiving towards, and be merciful and give them a place in your home so they can protect you. Okay. The next one is, I know this is hard because it's easy to get afraid of them. The bees. You need to put bushes and things around your home that they can, has honey that will draw them so they can be fed, because they're dying out, the bees, and we need them. All right. The bees are what helps our ecosystem exist so we can have food. So the bees and the spiders. Now, we also have mice that come and go. They have a purpose. So not only do the spiders protect your home, but there'll be like nests of fruit flies, horse flies, flies of all kinds. They will make a nest somewhere in your house, and it'll smell like rot, and you won't have a clue where the smell is coming from. Well, the mice, they like to rotate around. They typically live in the gutter, in, that little pole that takes your feces matter to the water department for them to deal with, or wherever it gets sent. You know what I'm saying? The sanitation department. it gets it goes through this big pipe under your street to them. Well, that's where those mice live. They can get in and out through the pipes that lead to your house's draining. And sometimes they can't go out through the sewer, that little place where the rainwater drains into. Sometimes they'll come out through there. But they like to make their rounds around the insides of people's homes looking for the fly nests, and they eat them. That's a delicacy to them. So the mice will come into your home. And if you're a dirty person who leaves their dishes around, they're going to stick around for a while. It's going to be very hard to get rid of them because you're feeding them. What's the point of going around looking for food anywhere else? They found a haven in your home. So if you found yourself with a mouse, understand it's because you are feeding them with all kinds of fly babies. What are they called again? Oh, shoot. I'm sure you understand the word I'm looking for here. Maggots, maggots, maggots. Okay. Oh, my goodness. Oh, yes, I had my coffee this morning. This is taking too long. All right. The mice will come in and they will be nibbling on the maggots that are wherever in your home. And if you're the kind of person who leaves dishes all the time, they will come. What I recommend is, if you're someone like that, you notice a little turd, pretty darn long turd, run from your door to a hidden spot. You literally, your eyes catch it running. You get your dishes done and you keep them done until you have proof that the mice aren't around no more. They will naturally leave on their own when they've realized there's no dishes around, there's no maggots around. I mean, if they don't see maggots, they'll just start eating off of whatever food's in your kitchen, and they will leave their little turds just to say thank you. Okay? So the mice have a place, but don't let them stay. All right? They will come, they will grab your nest that somehow it came to existence in underneath your radiator or wherever the hell food may have rolled. Okay? They'll eat that nest and they'll disappear. They'll go to the next home. Or they may stop coming to your neighbor altogether if every one of your neighbors no longer, there's not a single person in your neighborhood that lives filthy. So the Black Plague was spread through the mice because they lived filthy. So I'm just giving you some advice. Take care of the spiders and take care of the bees. They're good friends. The mice, they are walking turds. Don't let them stay. They have a purpose, but they're not meant to stay. Because if they stay, they'll spread disease. The spiders won't spread disease. You understand? You just learn to live with the spiders, respect their space so they don't have a reason to attack you and bite you, okay? If you let them exist, they will peacefully coexist with you. If they happen to see you, they will sit still. They won't run away or run towards you. They will just sit there and wait for you to do your thing and leave. I I know you're probably thinking like, why do you know any of this? I had a very long, hard road here, and it hasn't been easy, but I've through everything I've been through, I've noticed things. I've noticed that when trouble's about to break out, a roach will appear in my life. When someone's about to make some sort of trouble for me, I'll end up with a window full of flies that I got a bug spray to kill them all. There's a reason why the roaches and the flies are known to be connected to evil. It's just a coincidence of pattern. Okay. I have noticed that the spiders are actually your best friends. They don't want to hurt you. But if you're invading their space, they'll invade yours and then they all bite, 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 bite. And you'll be stuck with these lumps all over you. And they'll itch like a mosquito bite. So I'm telling you, God created our friends through these things that crawl, friends that will protect us. So don't be quick to run and smash. Hold yourself apart and wait and see which one it is. All right. There are certain spiders that belong in the wild, and if they find their way into your home, you will know they're not the good ones. They will bite you, and their bite will kill you. You'll know by their size. If it's an extremely big spider, like the ones I've had in my bad dreams that were very like a wolf spider, very furry and the size of your hand, you better squash that thing. Don't even think of bug spraying it because it will just run. It won't even be affected. Okay? Just smash that thing. Or use a broom and try to get it out your door. But don't let that something that big live with you unless it's caged. Okay? Because they're meant for the wild. They're meant for bigger prey. All right. So, this was meant to be about the Earth before it was finished, but we got to the point where humans were created.